Hi guys, welcome back, whoever's out there. Today I'm going to be talking about this short film, this short Lovecraftian type tale that I found called Ethereal Chrysalis. I read about this thing, I can't remember where I read about it, somewhere on the internet, and I liked what I heard, what I read, and I went looking for it. It was very, very hard to find. Now I couldn't find a copy of it on YouTube. I found one eventually elsewhere, and I've got a copy of it. But yeah, this thing was very, very hard to find. And let me tell you, this short, it's only, I think 10 minutes maybe. It is crazy. It really is. It's just crazy. Now, I'll run you through it in a minute. It's worth watching. It's a little bit at times that it's that out there, but that I kind of laughed. But it's still worth watching. Anyone that's into Lovecraft stuff, you know, strange or weird, you'll love it. You'll really love it. But basically, I'm not going to go through it as much detail as I did with the last video, because I think I went a bit too over the top into detail. You know, I'll describe every little thing. Probably a little bit too meandering as well. But anyway, basically, the story is, it's not really a story. I mean, for one, there's no spoken word. And it's all set to this sort of really sort of tense operatic music or singing, whatever, but there's no words. It's very intense. And but the basic story of it is, well, to be honest, it isn't that easy to make out. A lot of it is very confusing, but it begins with the camera's panning towards this guy, and he's got his hand over his face. And as you get closer, he pulls his hand away and he rips the front of his face off. And then the camera delves into his face. And then you see the title comes up. And it takes you into this landscape where this guy is it's very yellow. Very yellow and otherworldly. And there's this guy trudging along, carrying this, he's carrying it like an armful of horrible looking sort of guts and sort of almost like sea sort of weedy sort of, I don't know, almost like, I don't know, it's not very pleasant, but you know, that's the sort of thing we like. Yeah, he's trudging through this landscape carrying it, looking very down in the dumps, and suddenly he comes across this mountainside which is in the sort of the shape of a man laying down, and it's very it's got weeds growing out of it, and it's covered in sort of mud, and yeah, it's very weird. So there's a ladder going up to the side of this mountainside, where it goes to the side of the head shape on this mountainside, and the guy drops his pile of sludgy guts or whatever the hell he's carrying, and he climbs the ladder and he goes in, and he's looking around, steps inside the head, pardon me, and there's this thing bouncing around on the ceiling, like a sort of fleshy ball thing. Again, what the hell is that? What is that? And he's looking up at this fleshy ball thing inside the head, and this bald guy, this really creepy bald guy, comes up behind him and grabs him around the neck and starts throttling him. And suddenly the main guy who was carrying the stuff, he can't move because his legs are encrusted to the floor in some sort of, what you tell me, I don't know what it is. But then we're suddenly transported to this room, this decrepit looking room, where the guy is laying on a hospital bed with wheels, and the bald creepy dude that's come up behind him is sort of got his hand to his head, almost like pulling like a life force out of him or something. You can see it going into his hand, and he gets all this life force out of the guy that's laying down, and the bald guy, the big scary creepy dude, his face starts almost glistening beneath the skin, red. And he starts doing this weird lip licking thing. He licks his lips in this real sort of weird, creepy way. And it's a bit... Again, I don't want to overuse the word weird. It's all weird. All of this is weird beyond belief, but it's intriguing because you just think, what's going on in the guy's mind who wrote this? It's just insane. But anyway, so the creepy dude, he transfers all this, as I can describe it, this life force into his body, and suddenly his body starts sort of like evaporating into thin air up into his head, and suddenly his head disappears, and in place of his head comes out this, it's just this like sluggy, like slimy worm sort of thing that flies. Again, I don't know what that's all about. And this sluggy worm thing flies out the window. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Sorry, backtracking a little bit. This guy's laying on a hospital. Pardon me. Sorry, I need a bit of my cup of tea. Just drinking a cuppa. And this, behind this guy on the hospital bed is this window. At first, I couldn't tell if it was a window or a painting of this landscape that he was just in, but I've come to the conclusion it is a window. And this worm, slimy thing, flies out the window and into this landscape, and it flies away into this like black hole, and it goes in and out, then out, suddenly comes out of the black hole. I don't know whether this means this thing's turned into it, or if there's something else coming out of it, but out of it comes this sort of, I don't know what it is, some sort of like bed bug, pardon me, it's like a cross between a turtle and a bed bug type thing, and it's flying, and it flies into the window where this guy's laying, or at least towards the window where this guy's laying. And this guy suddenly starts having this like crazy fit. He's grabbing his head and he's scratching at his wrists, and this is anyway, he's grabbing at his wrists and he's pulling his head, and he's just sort of going a bit mad, and suddenly his head comes off. His head comes off and it flies away. It flies out the window. And his head and this turtle stroke bedbug thing flying towards each other. And as they're flying towards each other, they're both like gurning and pulling faces and just going mental, you know. And anyway, they fly towards each other and they crash into each other, and they both turn into this just, I don't know what it is, like a ball of, it's a blob, like a blobby ball thing. And then they gradually float down to the ground, back into this landscape, which right, I'm gathering this landscape is the inside of this guy's head, maybe. I mean, it looks very, yeah, like the inside of somebody, like a person. It's very hard to make out. You'll see when you watch it. But anyway, this blob floats down to the surface, and suddenly something starts trying to push out of it. And what comes out of it is this demon sort of like, I don't know if anyone's seen, there's a film with like a Jack Frost character in it. I can't quite remember what it is, but it looks a bit similar to him, but he's got very sticky up hair. Or was it, oh, you know what, there was an advert, it used to be on telly in Britain years ago for I think the drink was called Mets alcohol, and there was this character I think called the Judder Man, if anyone remembers him. He looks a little bit like him, if anyone remembers that. You may not, because you know I didn't remember it all that well, but it looks a bit like him, and he's very creepy, spiky up hair, demony sort of looking face, and he's wearing this bodysuit. And I don't know why this bodysuit it makes him look like a demon-y type thing, but he's got this massive bulge down where his dangly bit should be, like a big codpiece, but but not. Very weird, very weird. Anyway, the demon thing stands there, puts his arms in the air, and then behind him, this huge mountainside body, just like, what's it called when it just combusts itself? Spontaneous combustion. It just combusts, and that's basically the end of the film. And then you get to the end, past the credits, and you see a last little post-credits scene, or whatever they call it, of the hospital bed again, where this guy was laying, and it's just hit bones, ash. So obviously he's burnt, and I'm guessing when he's down in the landscape and he's looking up at this body, in a way it's the body that's in the hospital bed, and he's looking almost through that window. Because obviously the big huge mountainside body has burnt, and then you go back to the hospital room and this body's just ash and burnt. And that's the end. Very weird, very weird. But yeah, it's very otherworldly and weird, and you could, Lovecraftian and other dimensional, and I think I've come to the conclusion that he was inside the guy's head. But it's a very strange landscape, and it's very my sort of thing. So yeah, it's very hard to find, but with the the AM 1200 video I put on here, that was very, very hard to find. So for the same reasons of why I put that on here, I may put this on here too. I might get in trouble for that, who knows, I don't know. But otherwise, I don't really think any of you are going to get to see this, because it's not on YouTube, and it's very difficult to find, so maybe I'll do that. But yeah, summing it all up, I think it's worth watching. Anyone that likes weird sort of horror and just weird, crazy type stuff that they don't really know what they're watching, and when it's finished they end up scratching their head saying, what the hell have I just seen? It's worth a watch, so I recommend it. I've got a few other things to talk about on another video. I've got a few other videos lined up, a couple of other things I've found so far, and a couple of things I've already seen and know about that I want to tell people about if they haven't heard about it. But yeah, so this one was called, just recapping, the name is Ethereal Chrysalis. I'll put the name will be in the title of this, so you'll know what to search for if you want to look for it before I get around to putting it on. But yeah, it's worth a watch, so check it out. I'll leave it there then, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon. Cheerio.